Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to talk about Chapter 9, which is Key Account Management. Key Account Management is a strategy that's used by suppliers to target and serve high potential customers with complex needs by providing them with a special treatment in the areas of marketing, administration, and service. In order to receive key account status, a customer must have a high sales potential. A secondary characteristic is that they have a complex buying behavior. If they're a large decision-making units with many choice criterias that are dispersed in geographic locations, they may be located in different functional areas and varying operating units on it. The key account status is also likely to be given to a customer that's going to be more willing to enter into a long-term alliance or into a partnership on it. When I was in Yellow Pages, I handled key accounts that we were premise account salespeople, so that we went out and saw customers, and your key accounts were like your top 10 customers. As I had mentioned, I handled actually both Sanford Hospital at the time, and then also Avera. I handled that. The accounts had, like I said, several different clinics and physicians, a lot of different parts, their home health services areas, so lots of different components, the wellness centers. I also handled the city of Sioux Falls, which included the zoo, all of the Sioux Falls schools, which they continued to add on several new schools, so there was always lots to do there. The golf courses were part of the city of Sioux Falls, and so there was a lot of different components to it and a lot of detail, so you really needed to have attention to detail on it. And those type of accounts just are a lot of complexity and take a lot of time. So it is important that they're qualified as a key account management. If you have an opportunity to work with a key account, it definitely is going to look good for your resume and give you some other opportunities down the road on it. Some of the distinctions between the transactional selling and the key account management. Transactional selling, basically the overall objective is basically for sales. For a key account, it's going to be a preferred supplier status. The sales skills is mainly on transactional selling is going to be asking questions, handling your objections, and closing. Where the key account, you're going to be spending a lot of time with that customer, so you're going to be building trust. They expect excellent customer service, negotiating. It's not going to be a short transactions or intermediate. You're going to have a long, more intense interaction on it. For transactional selling, the salesperson goal is basically to close the sale, where a key account management, probably basically you'd never really consider that you're ever closed, because you're going to be developing a relationship on it. The nature of the sales force with transactional selling may be just one or two salespeople per customer, but with the key account management, myself, I always handled mine by myself, but it may involve several different salespeople. It also could involve multifunctional teams. Some of the advantages and dangers of having a key account to sellers. Again, like I mentioned, you're going to have a close working relationship with the person and the customer. The salesperson is going to know who makes the decisions and who is going to have the influence, the influential players in the group. Obviously, you're going to have a better follow-up on your sales and service on it. The sales rep is going to be devoting more time to the key account. You're going to have more in-depth penetration of the decision-making unit on it. You're going to have higher sales. Obviously, you're investing a lot of time, and so it is going to be expected that there will be higher sales in that area. There can be a provision of an opportunity of advancement for the salespeople. Like I said, it's a real feather in your cap if you can handle a key account, and also if you can handle it successfully. Definitely looks good on your resume. Lower costs can be involved because you've got one person that's dealing, and it's just better as far as for the demand and the forecasting on it. Better cooperation, especially you can work closely on research and development, especially if a key account is looking for a specific type of item. You could have more integrated systems, your information technology, better areas of delivery and selling. There also can maybe be some potential dangers on it. When resources are channeled towards a limited number of companies, you're focusing all of your time on it. The risk of pressure on the profit margins, especially if the customer maybe decides to try to abuse that situation. The possible danger of a customer applying ever-increasing demands for higher levels of service and attention once that they know that they are a preferred customer. Focusing your resources on just a few accounts that you might tend to neglect some of your other accounts on it. The team approach required by the key managers might be at odds, especially if you're dealing with a lot of different personalities and high achievers. Could run into some conflict there. Have also seen to happen in several different situations that possibly a good relationship between the salesperson and the customer, and they could end up going to work for the customer also. That can end up happening. Some of the advantages and disadvantages for the customers. There is improved service, obviously, because they're going to get the special attention. There is improved communication and coordination. The customer has a single point of contact on the supplier side, so it's much easier that way. They generally can get some improved terms. They maybe can get some better deals since they are a key account. There is an avoidance of switching costs. Customers can maybe benefit from working long-term with suppliers. There is customized offerings, the result of a key account management relationship that can be adapted or fully customized. There can be integrated systems like we talked about, or on the other side with the integration of information technology for the delivery and the billing. Cooperation also for them on the research and development end, where they'll be working specifically with the company. Some of the potential dangers talked about too also is the over-reliance on just a few sellers can maybe lead to some supply problems. Doing the business with the same seller over a long period of time can cause for some complacency on the seller side. Also, established relationships with the seller can maybe lead to complacencies on the customer side, maybe not looking at some other opportunities that they may possibly take advantage of. Some of the criteria for selecting key accounts on it is that, as we talked about, accounts that have growth prospects through their ability to build their sales and their market shares in their existing markets. Accounts with growth prospects through this position as a major player in a smaller or medium-sized but expanding market. Customers that might be willing to be partners in innovation by allowing new product developments with the supplier. Customers that are early adapters of new products can be good prospects for being a key account on it, and highly prestigious customers that improve the image of the supplier, and can be used in reference when selling by the sales force. So accounts that are important to and are currently served by the competitors, and accounts that provide a high contribution to the supplier's profits. Some of the tasks, obviously, that's going to be performed by the key account managers is that it's going to be determining a long-term relationship. Skills definitely needed would be relationship building, engaging in direct contact with the key customers, negotiating and maintaining key account records and background information to identify some selling opportunities and sales potentials of the existing account, so you're involved in human relations. You need to monitor competitive developments affecting the key accounts, focusing on specific objectives, reporting up to your results up to upper management, diagnosing the customer's problems. Key accounts are very important, obviously, to the company, and so they're going to want to know, the upper management is going to want to know what's happening with that account. Your presentation skills obviously need to be very important on it, making high-level presentations to the key accounts. So you're going to be generating visibility and having your reputation, and expedite your service to key accounts, and having good communication and good coordination among the company units that are servicing the key accounts. So it's important that you work effectively as a team. For key account relational development model, when you're first doing pre-key account management on it, obviously your task is going to be to identify that those accounts that would have the potential for moving towards a key account status, and to avoid wasting investments on accounts that maybe would lack potential on it. For the seller relationship, the traditional bow tie seller relationship communication is basically between the salesperson and the buyer, and the marketing, engineering, operations, finance, board, and research and development, those are all in the background, but they are not going to have direct correlation with the salesperson and buyer relationship. On a key account, it's going to have more of a diamond-based relationship, where the key account manager is going to coordinate the communication between the different functions, but each one basically is pretty much tied in side by side. So much different layout than just a transactional. So the key account relational development model, obviously at the start, simple, it's going to be transactional, and it's going to build up more and more, becoming much more collaborative and much more complex. When a company reaches a synergistic key account management, the companies are going to be working very closely together on it. The top management will be manifesting themselves with joint business meetings and joint business planning, getting into the research and development. They could also be doing some trading as far as with cost management.
The next step in key account management can be the global account management, which is the process of coordinating and developing mutually beneficial long-term relationships with a select group of strategically important accounts that are operating in global industries, which is obviously becoming more and more common. The role is that you're going to be a global account strategist, definitely needing to have good communication skills. You're a coordinator of the account's centralized and dispersed requirements, proving good leadership and management skills on it. Need to have a sharp business and financial mind. Need to have good relationship management skills, as we've talked about. Also, some of the mistakes that were made in the global advertising blunders that need to be very careful, especially on when working on a global basis. You need to be able to have a strategic vision and planning capabilities, especially if it's new or expanding into the global markets. You need to be a good problem solver or a negotiator. Also, being able to express your cultural empathy. You need to be able to relate well with people, and obviously you need to have good selling skills both on an internal and external area. And the key factor of knowing about your industry and the market and your product and your service knowledge. Some of the key do's and don'ts as far as handling relationships with key accounts. You do need to work with the account to agree in an actionable account plan. You need to understand the key choice criteria, the roles of the decision-making unit, how the decisions are made. Only ever agree as to what it is that you can deliver, especially on a key account. If you don't fulfill your promises, it's not going to be good. In any situation, it's always important to resolve your issues very quickly. The longer that you let them set, the more frustrated the customer is just going to become. You need to make sure that you have all your agreements done in writing. You do need to communicate internally to identify any unresolved problems, a late delivery, so you need to make sure that that gets solved and it doesn't happen again. You need to treat your customer with respect and to treat them as an expert, to encourage them to reveal information. View the issues from the customer's perspective as well as your own. Do ask questions. Knowledge is definitely power, and it's important that you know as much as you possibly can about the customer and their business. Some of the key account don'ts is not to let a small issue spoil the relationship. So you're going to have some bumps in the road, especially working so closely together, but don't let something spoil the relationship on it. You need to give some concessions. You're not going to win in every situation. Also be certain that you're not divulging confidential information from other accounts. That's very critical, and it's very professional to be that way. It's going to look badly on you if you do leak out other information. Plus, you could possibly lose your job, so we not want to do that. Don't view your negotiations as a win-lose scenario. Try to create win-win situations so that it's both a good situation for yourself and for your customers, company too. Sometimes you just have to say no when the circumstances demand it. You can't please them on everything, and it's best to just be open and honest. Don't try to deceive them. If you don't know the answer, say so. Find out what the answer to the question is and get back to them in a timely manner. It's important, especially important on a key account, that you have a key account system. General information, the type of data that you're going to have, obviously is going to be the address, telephone number, fax number, email addresses, the customer's products that are sold and the markets that they're sold, their size and their growth rate, the sales volumes and revenue, profits, capitals employed, operating revenues on it, specifically your supplier sales to account by the product, their price level and profitability by the product, details of any kinds of accounts, discounts and allowances, the competitors' products, price levels and sales, and then any expiration of dates of the contract. So you need to be in tune with that so you're able to be on top of it, and if the contract expiration is coming soon, that you're working hard so that you can renew that contract. Some of the soft data that you could be looking at would be decision-making unit members, their choice criteria, what their perceptions and attitudes are, their buying processes, always taking a look at what the assessment of the relationship is. You want to keep your eye on that and not let any problems fall through the crack. Any sorts of problems and threats or any opportunities that might be out there. The supplier's strengths and weaknesses, the competitor's strengths and weaknesses, and it's always good to be in tune and to any news that would be happening, any environmental changes that might affect the account right now and in the future. Things are always changing, especially now at a fast rate of speed, so it's important that you keep your eye on any news on the industry. For a key account planning system, always having an account audit, taking a look at a SWOT analysis, looking at the strengths and weaknesses internally of the company, looking externally at any opportunities and threats, always trying to forecast what will happen in the future. And obviously, like we talked about in one of the earlier chapters, was to have an account plan, having your objectives, your strategy plans on how you're going to achieve that one objective, and then definitely having some control over the plan. For key account management, the key success factors, definitely the suitability of the key account manager. That's definitely important. to have the in-depth knowledge and understanding of the key account customer's business, commitment to the partnership, definitely need to have that, delivering value to the customer so that they want to continue on with your relationship. Trust is a huge factor for key account management, and then the proper implementation and understanding of the key account management concept. That wraps up our Chapter 9. We'll move on to Chapter 10 with relationship selling. Thanks again for listening.